Hello there YouTube, and welcome to the channel Vital Legacy. My wife and I are proud parents of 5 girls, and we created this channel to share with the world everything good that we have learned in life so far. And we think everyone should share their knowledge that they have learned in life to better the world, helping everyone leave behind a legacy they can be proud of. This video is about us flipping a house. It is our first house we ever flipped, and I will have another video in the future of another house we flipped. It is very detailed, so try and watch all the way through. I'll try not to be boring, so let me start off by saying we live in Alaska, so we like to call ourselves the Frozen Flippers. I know, original, right? Don't forget, at any time during this video, comment below and we will get back to you as quickly as possible with answers to the questions you may have. Also, click like and subscribe. Give us a big thumbs up, click that notification bell, and you'll be notified when I send out the next video of our flip. Hope you get some knowledge out of this. Here we go. This is the house we bought, and it was listed for $189, and this is actually after we did improvements to the yard, but unfortunately I don't have that picture anymore. I lost it. But we were able to get this house for $173 after everything was basically done in fees and all that jazz. So this house is unique because it's in between two different streets. This side is called First Street, the other side was called Second Street, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But the Second Street is actually the address, which makes no sense because it doesn't have a driveway at all. So this is a First Street side yard, and as you can see, there's about a slope. So this is like the yard where the flat spot starts all the way over. And I built a makeshift fence here. It's a piece of crap. Wish I wouldn't have done it, but that's the picture I have. I tore it out later. But, so here's the flat spot. And this actually drops down about 3 feet, from corner to here. And this is about a 1 foot drop from here to here. So what I did later on, which I'm going to show you in a minute, was dig up the backyard. And I actually leveled this straight across and made this a nice, bigger flat yard. So here is the backyard, the way we got it. So there's an entrance door here and just nothing. This is my locates too, because before I was going to dig. So this house had no driveway, no walkway, no nothing. But it was raised, it was a ranch back in 1979, I believe, and then it got raised in 1985. So this is the, right here is first and second story. So I believe this actually used to be the door up here for the First Street, or for the original house. Now this door was added on later, and I actually added in this whole entire walkway. And so with the rock and dumping it myself and all the wood and the labor, I did a lot of labor to myself, but I did hire my wife's uncle, who is a good carpenter, and he was good with sloping and whatnot. And so all in all, I probably spent about $500 on this walkway. Like I said, did a lot of labor myself. Had to get locates for the back. Those are free. Now I am missing where I took out the yard. I actually had to excavate the backyard, and I dropped my phone and didn't see it, and I ran it over. So I was able to drive by it and take pictures of it nowadays after I've already sold it. But this is coming up to it. And then, so I dug this whole part of the backyard out, and the walkway's right here. So we dug this out. This is actually 2 cars wide and about 2 cars deep, probably small cars deep. Then we put the stairs here and then a sloping walkway here up into the door. Now this actually opens up into a huge Arctic entryway. So as why they didn't keep this side as the original side, I have no idea, but we went ahead and did that. I rented the machine, did all the dirt work myself, and probably cost me around $500 after the Typar and the rental machine and the rock we had to put down, plus the compactor. Maybe $600-700 total, but not much more than that. Let's bring this back down. So I actually went around the street and came back to the front yard, and that's where I was talking about leveling it out here. And I wound up leveling this whole thing out to make it a big, nice, flat front yard for the kids, and I ripped out the stupid fence that I built, which was a dumb idea. But, so you can also see right here this looks really crappy right here, and all along here had holes and different depths, and you can actually see the black tar paper that insulates the basement, the daylight basement. So all down the side of the house, all down this underneath this deck was all sorts of like a foot off from covering all that up and being level. So I also took the dirt from there and added it to around there, and here's a shot from the side. So this is all nice and level, and we also did a bunch of seeding and taping this off so the kids couldn't run over here until the seeding started to grow grass. And it actually took a long time, but it turned out really nice. So I'll just throw in here really quick, the deck was outdated for sure, and I don't have a picture of that unfortunately, but we painted both decks with decking paint, and that turned out really nice. And it's a little dirty here, from some dust, but other than that, it turned out really nice, as we were able to cover up old gashes and whatnot in the wood. But it did turn out really nice. So that's another thing. My wife and I painted the whole thing ourselves. Probably cost us, $200 to $300 in paint, decking paint, but it took a long freaking time. It definitely took days. We hired a couple young boys to come help us paint too, some friends, kids of ours. We took the screen door off. I'm sure some of you are looking at the screen door, what the hell? That was just a $20 little makeshift screen to get us by because of the hot summer, so we keep the door open. So now let's dive into the inside of the house. So this is the house, the walkthrough when we got the house. So you can see here, we were just showing, basically walking through the house, showing things that were messed up. There was something wrong with the track here in the master bedroom. The carpet missing downstairs because of water damage, exposed ceilings, and you can see where they fixed some water pipes there. So this is actually something I had never seen before, but it is the intake of the water system from the city, and it's actually in the closet of the basement bedroom. And I'm not actually sure what this is, but I know it's some sort of water pressure reader for the water company. And here's the shutoff valve for it, and it's actually just a little cutout hole in the ground, basically, which later I'm going to show you we floored over this. But to continue the walkthrough, more exposed ceilings, lots of in the basement, lots of electrical that was exposed and outdated. This was the lighting down there, this piece of crap fluorescent light. Fluorescent lights throughout and drop ceiling, which I did hate drop ceiling, and my original thought was I was going to rip all this crap out. But I'll tell you what, when it came down to swapping out plumbing and electrical from the first floor, holy cow, is it amazing. So we wound up leaving that drop ceiling in, and we contemplated putting in all new tiles, but it actually was very expensive, so we wound up just replacing ones that needed to be replaced. So this is the, oops, I passed it there. There's another picture of this, but basically this is where the washer and dryer units are in the basement. And the story goes, the drain for the washer and dryer, some kid stuck like glue or a bag of cement or something down, some little, 5 or 6 year old, 7-year-old. So they had to install the sink, and the drain for the washer now came into the sink, which, whatever, we utilized later. Missing tile, cables running everywhere, like I said. So this is the upstairs corner sink. It's just a freaking electrical taped. The sink's super outdated. There's another bedroom window. So this window is actually in the living room, and it was like epoxied shut or caulk shut and screwed shut. So that was one of the things, said that needed to be fixed. We actually don't know what the hell this was. This was some giant power cord that went outside, and we wound up taking it out and disconnecting it. So hand railing, you got to check your codes. Whenever you have a hand railing, the codes change all the time. And one of the things with here was the hook was down here, and your hand railing needs to be bent or, cut in towards the wall, so you can't catch your clothing or purses or bags on it and potentially fall down the stairs. There was a giant, so that we're up on the first floor. coming this downstairs hallway, going down the stairs. I know it's hard to see. I apologize. Like I said, I broke my phone, missing a lot of freaking pictures because I rolled over my damn phone with the loader. So, there was a large crack in this ceiling right here, basically where the addition was separating, where that deck was separating from the house. So, that was something we needed to look at too. Underneath the stairs, downstairs, this was a fire code apparently, so we had to, get into that. That was another issue. This window was on the second floor and was actually missing the track. And this window was missing the whole thing. This was the downstairs bathroom. This is actually the first floor shower's P-trap, and it wasn't, enclosed or finished. And personally, the ceiling should have been dropped down, 6 more inches to not have a giant square in the middle of your ceiling. But that was one thing we looked at. They paper bagged a shower head. And so that's the walkthrough there. Just some of the, a bunch of the stuff we were looking at. Oh crap, we got to fix. How do we go on the negotiating table with that? So anyways, like I said, we wound up getting the house for $173,000. So that's the outside walkthrough. So one of the biggest things, so I'll show you the originals of the upstairs. So this is the kitchen here. And it's not bad. It's a little bit open. This is the dining room here. One of the first things we fixed here, and I'm going to show you here in a minute, was this light right here was just a generic light, not LED or anything. And then it's hard to see back here, but this is that chandelier going down the dining stairs. And this is super old, like an 80s kind of crystal glass, Cinderella type chandelier thing going down the stairs. A little bit open, but not really at the same time. So the reason why I'm showing the living room here is because the kitchen's actually right here to the left. And this is a bedroom door over here, but this whole wall, is there. So that's why why it's not really open, because it's super closed off. Not an open concept kitchen at all. So this is the original kitchen. Somebody decided to paint the cabinets. From what we understand, they were actually super nice cabinets, and the person who moved in there decided they wanted to paint them. So it came out really freaking hideous. Plus white everything, just to us looks super ridiculous. Here's the pantry. Now later this is going to come into effect. There's actually a 240 down here, or 220. So we're going to utilize that later. But this is the pantry, old stove. So this is actually where that deck comes into, that entryway right here. And the first street driveway comes up that deck, and you come in this door. So not only is this the kitchen, but that's the freaking entryway, which is super stupid. More of the kitchen crap. So here's the master bathroom. I know this is a crappy picture, sorry. But, you can see the brown outdated above the toilet stuff. You can kind of see it's a really nasty, crappy floor. So here is the main first floor bathroom. This really wasn't bad. This vanity wasn't too bad. But it just wasn't new. It was outdated. Now this is actually wallpaper along here, which I can't freaking stand wallpaper. And we removed that, which I'm going to show later, but it was super freaking hard to get out. We actually wound up gutting this entire bathroom. So, there's a couple $1,000s right there. This wall had some freaking panel on it, which we knew was hiding something. So we took the panel off, and there was huge exposed piping and wiring, basically, back there. So that's the upstairs, and then the downstairs, original upstairs. So here's the original downstairs. So here's this is a huge entryway. This is where that other door that I said on 2nd Street comes in, and I don't know why in the hell. They built a ginormous entryway. It's big, huge. I can't even remember what size, but it's freaking huge. And not to mention, it just looks like crap. It looks like, I don't even know. But, so I don't know why they didn't use it. So later on, we wound up using it. We ripped all this crap out, which I'm going to get into in a minute. So this is the downstairs bathroom. Not horrible, but outdated. Flooring's outdated. Vanity's outdated. And this is the basement. So they just painted the concrete floor. And, we're missing tiles, outdated tiles. Some of the lights are missing the covers, and there's like, nothing. So it's really just a bare floor. Now this is where the washer and dryer come in. So this is your washer and dryer with that sink that I was talking about, which later on you're going to see we transform this entire area. All this crap is outdated. Huge open area. So it was kind of great because we got a blank slate. Now these windows are not vinyl, they're wood, and they're actually leaking. We did talk about doing that, but you're probably talking $700-800 a window at least. So there was a lot. So we never did wind up replacing all the downstairs. We did wind up replacing all the upstairs. So that was the downstairs. So now let me open up. The kitchen is where we spent the most of our time and money on. We probably put 10 grand in the kitchen, and we did a lot of the work ourselves. So just to give you a comparison here, side by side here, the kitchen here. So this is the new light, and this is the old light. As you can see, this tiny little light was supposed to, lighten up that kitchen, not to mention it was completely closed off. So we put in this light. I want to say this light was like $200. I replaced it myself. Huge LED light. We also replaced this hallway stairwell one, this old crappy one. We put in a new one here. Let me make this bigger so it's way better. We put a new one here. This is super nice. We got this at the thrift store for like $35. Nice big black and glass, beautiful one. I also put LED bulbs in there. So the first step we took in removing or making this kitchen better was we knew we had to open it up. So that's what we did. While we lived there, I pretty much started gutting this whole area, and we slowly started tracing down electricals, figuring out where I was going to move it all. That was kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest. Here it is where I took it out, and this is the wood remaining. I shoved some of the electrical up in the ceiling and taped it off, and then shut off the breaker. A couple of them came from the underneath, and we wound up putting into this island area later. And here's another shot from the other side. So this is that living room side where I originally showed you the TV was over here, and here's that bedroom door. So this opened it up tremendously, but we're not actually done here. And here's a bunch of the electrical. I had to figure it all out. Like I said, I just temped in some wood here to give us a shelf. And I actually built, so you can see the back of the fridge. And my wife was like, I definitely do not want to see the back of the fridge while I'm sitting in my living room. So I actually built a little wall here and made it kind of, to hide the fridge. I made the exact size of the fridge, which we did buy all new appliances in this place. So here's a look from the other side. Once I took the beams out, we actually installed this fan right here. So you see, this whole thing was covered in cabinets. I know I didn't have that picture, but the whole thing was covered in cabinets. So it also left a giant hole in the ceiling, so we had to replace all that too. Replaced the fridge. This is a new fridge. I started on the other side. Like you see, I actually was closing that off. I haven't got that far yet in your videos. So I cut that out and was making it differently. I put a post here because my wife said, well, if I took out all these cabinets, I gotta have a place to put, some more cabinets, or else I'm gonna run out of space. Okay, well, I want to make an open concept. I want to be able to see the dining room, but we need to be able to chop that out. So I should have showed you that picture first. So we chopped that out, put in that beam. I was able to move this light switch over here, which I'll show you in a minute. So this is all open. Got all this fixed up nice. We're going to back up here, and I'm going to show you what we put above the islandish area. I actually got these. I want to say this was about $100, and then these were probably $15 a piece for the little shell covers. So not bad, and as you can see, I started putting the drywall up there. Don't forget, your drywall has to be 5/8 on the ceiling for fire code. Here's that little wall. We just made it a shelf for the time being. So here's another section. So here's me enclosing that. We're going to keep this. I'm going to mount this right here. Here's that wall. You see I was able to put the switches in there. So we wanted to keep it open a little bit when my wife needed, cabinet space. So we closed this off as much as we could, but still had a little window here. We went ahead and bought all new appliances first. This is, demoing out the old cabinets. My wife wanted this color in the background, so we did that. Like I said, we bought new appliances. So these are the cabinets that we bought from Home Depot, I believe. Lowe's and Home Depot had some nice cabinets, and we couldn't afford a whole lot, so we went with, the best, cheapest, nicest, cabinets and countertops they had in stock. So, that's what we started doing here. I did most of this myself, but I did have my wife's uncle. I spoke to him before, being a carpenter. He did come out and help me on a lot of this as well. So, we also put in a new subfloor here. I know this is really crappy picturing here, so we've had to put in a new subfloor, ripped all that crap out because it was super old. I want to say there was like 5 layers of flooring in here, which is absolutely ridiculous. And we were also moving the sink over here, not over here in the corner, which is also ridiculous. So, that involved a lot of plumbing. We had to put in a vent. I can't remember what it's called, an island vent, I believe. Basically this vent in the wall doesn't work anymore. I mean, we still kept it, but it's, around a corner and, 5 feet away, so it wasn't going to work anymore. So there's more cabinets. So after I got the cabinets installed, there's that wall finishing up here. So let me show you what it looked like in the end, I guess. It's probably the best way to show you. So turned out pretty damn nice. The only thing I did mess up on here was, I think I measured this to be like a 36 and I got a 32. So this side didn't match this side, but I was so exhausted at this freaking point, I was over it. So as you can see, we did the floors, all new appliances, all new cupboards, all new, range fan outlets. We put in rocker switches, brand new sink. Sink was a couple $100. The faucet was a couple $100. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture underneath here, but it was a special island vent, which you're going to need to look at your codes, on what is legal for your area. Speaking of this island vent, after we installed it, a few months later, the damn thing kept like backing up and spitting water out of it. And so I spent, 30, 40, 50, 60 extra bucks over time trying to put a Drano down it. I swapped the island filter, which you look it up, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's a little filter underneath there. I thought maybe it was clogged, it was broken. Basically, every time I do it, it would fix it for a moment and it'd come right back the next day. Well, it turns out I did some digging, and downstairs, directly underneath that, is a pipe right around in here. And I took those tiles out and I realized, okay, well, that's the drain, so let me check it out. It had an actual end cap on it for a clean out. I open up that clean out, and of course, tons of gunk falls out. And I wind up looking down that pipe, which is supposed to be the drain pipe. Now, there's a sloping math that goes with your drain, and I want to say it's a 1/4 inch per foot. Well, basically, this was not sloping correctly. So, basically, a 2.5 inch pipe, I think it was, maybe a 3 inch. It was clogged so full, 8 feet long, that you could barely fit like your thumb in it. There was only, I want to say, like an inch, if that, left in the center. So it just kept clogging up, and the little Drano I was doing and whatnot was barely opening it back up. So basically I had to cut out that whole chunk, redo the piping, just more time and more money. But it was nice and fresh and clean, and I felt good about it because it was just horrible and bad. And I did the sloping correctly. I looked it up online and got the specs and did it sloping correctly. I mean, I can't stress it enough. You got to look at everything, these even had to be GFCI'd, switch outlets here. And let's get another angle here. So here's the other side. Now, of course, we took so damn long, they ran out of this damn countertop. So we weren't able to do this one. Another thing to think about, there is this outlet here, and that had to be GFCI'd, and there is codes on island outlets, so you need to look into that. But later on, we did go back and we got a similar, basically the next models of this that Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever it was started carrying, and we wound up putting that on later. But this is just that vinyl sticky plank flooring after we ripped this all up and did new subfloor, brand new subfloor, brand new vinyl tile flooring, paint job. The ceiling's done. We tried to texture match, but you can see the freaking difference. you know, the lights at least take away a little bit of the aesthetics on that. Here's another look. So earlier you also saw that washer and dryer downstairs. That was retarded. So we brought it up here, eliminated some of the pantry stuff, and like I said, that 220 was already in here, so I was able to use that for the dryer because we have an electric dryer. Now this is also an electric stove. Sorry, I forgot to mention about that. It had a gas stove. I am anti-gas because I have little kids and they can accidentally turn the gas on and blow up my house. And I am completely against that idea. So I actually had to cut out this drywall back here and run a new cable. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you have to look up the specs on that, you know, and put in a new fuse, a new breaker, a new outlet behind here. So thus we have an electric stove. So, all right. So please feel free to comment below, and my wife or I will definitely get back as fast as possible. Do not hesitate to ask any questions or point out anything I missed, and we will gladly put it in there. And I apologize for, you know, not being as organized as I'd like to be, but, you know, it's been a few years since we've done this one. Spice things up a little bit. Look at this little guy. He's so freaking cute, right? Oh, and then let's check out his buddy. Oh, I can't believe this is for sale. It's freaking hilarious, though. Now we're going to go to the rest of the house upstairs. So like I said, the kitchen we dumped about probably 10 grand into. You know, this is just showing you the remodel of the upstairs. We painted this wall. That chandelier actually was already there. That's one of the things we kept. This wall turned out really nice, as you can see. The wall, we closed it off. You can see the wine glass here. This is from the kitchen over. Not sure. There's another picture of the kitchen with one of my kids before I finished enclosing it, obviously. Here's the master bedroom. So I know I wasn't able to show it, but the master bedroom, I'm pretty sure had a crappy just light in it. So we put this new fan in. All this flooring was carpet that was totally shot because they had dogs and it just piss everywhere. You know, we put in new vent covers. Those were like 20 bucks a freaking pop. You know, the flooring ran us about $1,000 in this room alone. But it still turned out nice. Plus we painted, you know, we put up nice curtains. You know, of course my wife had the design aspect. So this is the master bathroom. We kept the toilet, put in new flooring, new baseboard trim, caulked really good because of the shower exit. Put in a new above toilet, you know, cabinetry. Now this is a very small master bathroom, and I can't really explain why they did what they did, but it's just how the design was made out. So this was the vanity area, which you didn't get to see, but we ripped all this out, and I actually put in this outlet right here just to make more sense of the area. This had, I want to say, a pedestal sink. We took that out, put in a medicine cabinet, painted in this corner kind of to match the flooring and whatnot, but it turned out really damn nice. So this bathroom ran us probably around 500 bucks. This bathroom, this is the one that I showed you earlier, had the paneling on the wall, had the wallpaper on it, the outdated vanity. So we wound up gutting this entire bathroom, and this had like a 1975 jacuzzi tub in it. I know you can't see that. I apologize for the pictures again, but we ripped that out. Got a brand new tub, brand new surround. That ran us about $800. You know, all new drywall, paint. You know, me and my daughter did a lot of this bathroom, just us. All new flooring, baseboard. Like I said, from head to toe. The only thing that I kept in here was this mirror. I thought it was pretty cool. It's the only thing we kept in here. So this bathroom probably cost us around $3,000, $3,500 maybe, and we did all the work ourselves. This is a big bedroom. It's one of my daughter's bedrooms. This is just showing you, you know, all the house had carpet except for that concrete basement, and we ripped out all the carpet because it had just dog piss everywhere, just crappy carpet everywhere. So, you know, like new vent registers, all new flooring. You know, this room ran us a couple $100 with the flooring and the pad. I did all the work myself in this room, laid all the flooring. So, and another thing to add here is we noticed that this room was cold all the time. And I tried all sorts of stuff, blowing a fan in here, turning the heat up, and it was cold all the time. And as you can see, I had the toddler bed in here. My daughter was a little kid. We even tried sealing the window. You know, she was just cold. Her room was cold. The floor was freezing all the time. So what I figured out was underneath her bedroom was that Arctic entryway downstairs. Now, something I don't have the old picture of, but these were little cubed tiles, and I want to say they're made out of like fiberboard or something. So I ripped all this out, and this is underneath her room. This is the ceiling to the entryway is the floor to her room. So I ripped all this out and noticed there was not any insulation underneath there. So there's another, pretty much about $700 to $1,000 of ripping out the old stuff, putting in insulation throughout the floor. This is a fairly large room. I want to say it was like a 14 by 17, 14 by 16, pretty large room. So lots of insulation, drywall, mud, tape, paint, time. There was also a crappy light there. We put in a new LED light, so there was another $1,000. But it made a drastic difference, and it made this room hold its temperature just like the rest of the house. So it was a necessity that needed to be done, and I'm glad I did it. Another thing I found out too, unfortunately later on after doing this, but I was doing some electrical work downstairs in that basement that I was talking about that was completely opened up. I was doing electrical work up in here, and I happened to notice a piece of insulation that was laying down that goes up against the inside the wall framing above the ceiling. So I popped up in this tile and noticed that there was a vent register for venting the house, I believe back when it was a one story, for the basement of it, and it was freaking wide open and blowing cold air in. Now, like I mentioned, I live in Alaska, so that was not helping me at all. And I noticed the basement was always freaking cold, and that was it. There was actually 2 of those that I found, and it wide open. So basically I covered those up, went outside, buttoned them up, put the insulation back up, and I did notice a substantial difference. This is the original flooring that came with the house. I did keep it just when it was just another, $2,000 cost I wasn't ready to do, and the flooring wasn't too bad. One thing I forgot to point out here, and I don't have a freaking picture of it, but this register, this is the intake for your heat, and it was on the floor. Well, it, for one, looked hideous, but it was also metal, and you would constantly catch your foot on it. It just blew my mind why the hell this thing was on the floor. So I wound up cutting this out and walling off the register down there, and I took out all the insulation just in those 2 panels, and it sucked the air from the wall that it needed, plenty of air, between there and then, the hallway and the living room and whatnot. Now here's the windows. We did wind up keeping this window wood and fixed it so it did not fall out any longer. These 2 outlets didn't work, and there was an issue with them in the wall. So my dad's an electrician. I actually had him come over, and we did wire molding to make the outlet hot, because that was one of the stipulations when we turned around and sold the house, is they wanted those fixed. Now these are very large windows, and this is on the 2nd story. Now I'm sure you're wondering, why in the heck is there lattice up here? Well, I used to have a couch up against there, and the kids would constantly climb into the windowsill, and since this is a vinyl window with sliders, I didn't want them to fall out, so this kept them from climbing over. So in here we also put in a new fan. These blinds actually came with the house, and they're honeycomb blinds. They are really nice, and I want to say they're like $2,000 just for these 3. So we actually kept them, in with the house when we sold it. And we fixed this window. Remember, it was locked shut or screwed and caulked shut. We uncaulked it, unscrewed it, and got it all nice and cleaned up and open for safety hazards. So this is that living room again, where now you see it's opened up. I have a sill on the cap on the island. There's the fridge, and behind it, so you don't have to see the back of the fridge. Now let's go to the downstairs remodel. Let's do a side-by-side here. I actually have a couple of side-by-sides I can do here. So this is the downstairs. I don't think that loaded correctly, but oh well. So this is the downstairs bathroom. As you can see, we redid the floor. The only thing we left in here was the toilet and the tub. We did some tile work here. There was some tile issues. One thing you can't see in here is in this ceiling, I had a huge leak from the upstairs shower piping, basically. So that took out a lot of drywall that I wasn't planning on, and I wanted replacing a ton of piping in the ceiling. But hey, that's where that drop ceiling comes in handy. It was easy to do, and I was able to do it myself, but it was a couple $100 I wasn't anticipating on. We put in a new cabinet, new vanity, toilet, shelving behind the toilet. We did actually get a cap for this. It broke, and we had to go buy a new one. I don't really remember how. Put in the sticky tile flooring again. We ripped up the old flooring. This became a nightmare that we weren't planning on because I want to say this was leaking. Oh no, I took it off to do the floor. That's right. Well, when I went to go put it back on, the freaking pipe got chipped somehow. So I tried to fix it myself, and I just made it worse. And I literally broke the pipe off into the freaking ground underneath the house. So I hired one of my family members who's a contractor to come over, and he had to chisel this whole thing out with a jackhammer and reset a new pipe up in and flush with the floor, and lay new concrete, and then reset my toilet here for me. So that ran me $500 that I wasn't anticipating, just because I wanted to change the floor. So now I'll do another side-by-side comparison. So this is the original living room here. Living room area afterwards. So you can see we put in hardwood floor. We kind of made this a living room, an actual living room. We put a divider here. We painted all the walls, fixed all the electrical, put in the carpet just for this living room area. The rest is that same hardwood floor. Looks really nice. And then this area became a second kitchen, and it turned out freaking awesome. So we basically made downstairs its own place, its own mother-in-law area, basically. I installed all of this myself. Now, I actually got lucky, and my neighbor was doing a remodel. So I took her old cabinets. Now, this is just a second kitchen. I wasn't worried about making this a $10,000 kitchen. So I refurbished all her cabinets. My wife and I repainted all these, all the doors. We bought a stackable washer and dryer. I wound up running a vent out the wall right here for the dryer. Just a basic, this is a roll-out electric washer, electric stove. Oh no, that's a gas stove, because there was a gas line downstairs, gas line downstairs. This sink was a pain in my ass, but I was able to make it drain really good. A lot of work went into this, and that's where that old sink used to be. There was a drain there. I wound up tapping that in. Now, I did have to hide this drain for this washer, since the washer and dryer thing back here doesn't work. I had to run the hose, and then the sink, this sink is still under there, still tied into the drain. So I made that hose and did the same thing they did here before, and ran it into that sink. That was really the only thing I could think of. So that's what we did there. I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can get a better picture. Here, looks really good. Oh, I'll show you the entryway really quick here, just so keep going on the comparison thing here. So there's that old entryway, and here is the new entryway. So that's that same spot. As you can see, we cleaned up the floor a lot. I actually took out this section because when we removed this cabinet, the freaking floor was missing. So we put that hardwood in here. We talked about making this a closet area, which would have been really smart, but we'd already put so much freaking money into this house, and I was kind of running out of money. So I knew this would run me another about $1,000 once everything was said and done. So we didn't do it, and it just kind of became a shoe area. So we'll get rid of that. Make this bigger. There's another look here. This is the hardwood floor that goes into that downstairs. Put a nice transition strip here. We did all new base around here. This is all wood baseboard, which costs $100 too. We want to put in all new baseboard. I did wind up putting the trim in here, even though this doesn't show it. So this will show you the rest of the bedrooms downstairs. Now, the reason why I want to show you these is because, for one, we put in all new hardwood floor, not to mention paint. But when we went to go sell the house, which is where you're gonna have to look at your code, in a daylight basement setting, these were an inch short from being escape fire code, basically. So They let us, as long as it was mounted to the wall, I screwed them to the wall here. I just used 2x4 and put little steps here. And that got us in the sale, at least for, when we would turn around and sold it. That counted, and it passed inspection. I also want to notate, you can see this little crack in the floor here. It's not because I did a crappy job. For some reason, there is another hole in the floor right here, and unfortunately you can't see it. It's a clean out for the 6-inch waste drain for the city. I can't imagine why the hell that thing's even there. But I never had to get into it. It had like 10 freaking bolts into it, and I didn't see ourselves being able to get into it, so I just covered it up. There was a little bit of difference. I couldn't change that fact because it was cemented. I could have changed it, spent a couple $100 freaking fixing it, but it was there for a reason. I don't know why, so I just covered it up. Another thing I wanted to mention was earlier I had mentioned about I didn't change windows. Well, I take that back. I did change about 6 or 7 windows in this house. So all these bedrooms had outdated windows. We put in the new 4x4 vinyl windows in this bedroom, the other bedroom that I showed you a second ago, and then the 5th bedroom that you didn't get to see, and I don't have freaking pictures of it, but we put all the same hardwood in there, and we put new windows in that room as well. So in the end, a couple of them we did have to fix some of the siding to make it match the rest of the house. So in the end, that ran us probably $4,000. Here's the dining room area for the downstairs. This goes into that beautiful Arctic entryway. Like I said, we spent lots of money on freaking baseboard. I want to say, man, another $500 plus. The carpenter, the friend of ours, came over and did a lot of that. I did do some of it, but some of the angles I just wasn't new at. This is my first time remodeling. The entryway. This is that under the stairs we'd actually turn that into a pantry. So there's that pantry, and we put shelves here and just made it really just OSB wood shelves. Like I said, I was kind of burnt out at this point. I didn't want to spend $300 more, $500 more on fancy shelvings and backings and access to here, and we had to close this off running the stairs to pass fire inspection. Here's the utility closet. I got extra stuff in here. We left it all with the house. We cleaned this up really nice. This was a disaster when we got here. This is the heater. We spent $300 having somebody go through our heating system, putting in new allergen filters. So in the end, we really didn't make that much money on this house. Now, granted, that wasn't our objective when we first bought it. We did think about doing it as we were living in it. We nickel and dimed as we went along. This took about 3 years to complete. And, we sold the house for $227,000, I think, something like that. $227,000. Basically after fees and minusing everything, I want to say we walked away with about $27,000. And, if you minus the roughly 20 to 25 grand we put into it, we really only came ahead a couple grand. I was an apprentice in the IBEW, so I wasn't making that much money and not working a lot either. So we did wind up taking a second mortgage out on this place, which is why in the end we only, profited a couple $1,000. Whereas if I hadn't done that, we probably would have profited, $20,000, $30,000. Another thing is there was some of the stuff that we didn't do, probably about $5,000 more into the house. And this being our first house that we bought and sold, we did sell it in 7 days, so that was a super blessing, but we probably could have put it for sale substantially higher, probably $20,000, $30,000 more, and made a nice chunk. But, that's part of the learning curve and part of the game, and we definitely took away a lot out of this. It was nice to have that fat paycheck in the end because, like I said, we did this over time. So over the 3 years, we did that. Now in our next place that we're currently finished flipping, but there's some legalities that we're finishing up, we set to profit almost, I think, $80,000. So the learning curve paid off big time. So don't forget to click that notification bell so you'll be notified when I post our next flip, which is this quaint little house in the middle of nowhere on 20-something acres. This is actually a full-scale, basically down to the studs flip. We actually finished this about 6 months ago, but we're still fighting some legal issues on it to this day. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. See you on the next one.